You are listening to Armchair Healthcare, a podcast on pills, placebos, and policy.
All right, welcome to Armchair Healthcare. What's up, Max?
Well, there's a few things, other than, of course, the gosh darn snowstorm that's about to hit us.
Oh, I thought you were going to say earnings season, because that's what's been taking over my life.
Oh, yeah.
Earnings. I'll be honest, I have no idea what you're going to bring up. I've been drowning in earnings releases.
Yes.
Week or two.
Same here. So this is actually cobbled together for really kind of the last couple of weeks, and it's just like a few things.
All right, great.
So one thing that Nantkwest presented some data on their cancer memory vaccine at the CITIC conference.
Okay.
So it's a sextuple therapy.
Sextuple therapy. So it's first off, so we're talking...
Or sextuplet, I
It's
guess.
6 cancer vaccines mixed together or something? What is it?
No. Okay, so you got the nab-paclitaxel.
Okay.
Plus adenovirus and yeast.
Okay.
Plus N803, which is an IL-15 fusion protein with like lots of other little letters after it.
Okay.
Then, of course, their natural killer gunk.
Okay.
And plus a checkpoint inhibitor, the PDL1. So they have six different things that they have just kind of orchestrated, as with Sly says, orchestrated over a 21-day cycle. So we're just going to shove all this stuff into people. They've already given it to like 30 patients. And it's funny, like they had some data. It was like a variety of cancers. It was like one of those all-comer kind of trials, or that's what it looked like from my brief glance at the press release.
Yeah, so they're not only just throwing all the spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, they're also throwing on every wall that they can possibly put to. I mean, so how do you interpret the data from this trial? That's the question.
Oh, there's no way
it's
you
going to be
able
impossible.
Yes, and you could tell from the press release they weren't doing a really good job. Like the in one of the cases, they showed some median overall survival of like 8.5 months, which is an improvement over the historical controls of 7.8 months. It was really something like that. It was like, oh my God, you're really, really trying really hard to show anything in this.
Okay.
So it was pretty horrible.
So yeah, this is totally crazy. I mean, if you took this to the FDA, they'd be like, okay, show us all the drugs individually. You have to prove that there's not just... You're not just sort of mixing something up and saying, oh, this is something new. You know, I'm going to give you paclitaxel plus spaghetti sauce, or paclitaxel plus, bee pollen.
I'm going to give you mystery goo combined with amphetamines, combined with PDL1.
Sure.
And 3 other things.
That's pretty much what's going on here.
Yes. Yeah, so anyway, I mean, this is Patrick Soon-Shiong. Soon-Shiong?
You got to read his name correctly.
I don't have it written down.
That one up, Max.
Okay, fine. This is that the mystery biotech billionaire. It's a mystery how he became a billionaire. I mean, I know how he got it because he had like a Braxane and he did all that. But like, it's like really, this guy's a billionaire? That's more of the mystery.
Well, he did some shady stuff. He didn't he do some sort of trick to like give himself more stock to take over Abraxas?
Probably.
I think he like knew that Braxane was getting bought or something like that, and they did some sort of trick to like screw over all the minority shareholders, and I believe like took it private and ended up owning the whole thing or something weird like that.
Yeah, no, but like, and he's been doing like shady stuff for a while, and I remember when I was looking at Nantkwest, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I'm like, really? This is a $1 billion company? I mean, this is what biotech investors want. So I was just like, my God, I must be completely out of touch. Because I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm just seeing like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's going to be CAR NK therapy, Max. It's better than CAR T.
Well, I mean, in theory, yeah. But like the way they were doing it, it was all like weird and had lots of like, weren't there like always several combinations? Like, I mean, this is
I remember
not like this bad.
Talk about a hype line when it went public. It had something like 12 phase 1s or something like that, or planned phase 1s. And I haven't honestly paid attention, but obviously they've got nothing if this is what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't think they have anything. And speaking of not having anything, there's of course Northwest Bio had some news.
We need like Northwest Bio's theme music to play right now.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, so they raised some 1-year debt.
Oh,
with effectively 15% interest. I think it's actually like 10% interest, but they have like a 5% discount or vice versa. One of those.
Yeah, I think this is. I'm gonna trump this up some more. We're gonna have a Northwest Bio segment on the show, which is just every month when they do their crappy financing, we just report on how crappy the financing is and how much worse it's getting every month.
Well, what I'm surprised about is that they're not doing a financing every month. But like when you look at the numbers and what debt's due and like their normal operating expenses, like you just can't get there from here. I mean, they should be doing a financing every month, and I don't know how the math kind of adds up unless they've really shut down the company and they're just kind of making up operating expense numbers to show that.
Well, it could all be in stock.
It's very possible. They did, they had some debt due like in August that I was wondering about, but they never said anything about how they paid it. So I don't know how this, they're like sticking the company together. And by the way, this debt was issued with 50% warrant coverage.
Warrant coverage on debt.
Yes, warrant coverage. So they were able to not only issue debt, but also have dilution at the same time.
That's amazing.
It's like that Simpsons episode where he works for like a tech company and he's getting paid in options. And they just have like a paper towel roller for the options.
Want some stock?
Yeah.
Here, take another one.
Yeah. Want some stock with your stock? Here's some stock.
All right.
So anyway, I mean it's just ridiculous, and they're fanboys. Luckily, they're quieting down on Twitter for me because I think I've blocked most of them. Mm-hmm. Because they can't actually ever talk to you about anything substantive. They usually go for some like like a vile comment or so. And it's not just swearing. Swearing I could deal with, but like they get like a little bit visual.
Okay.
And then you're like, okay, I'm just blocking you. I'm not even bothering with you.
You know what happens then is they're going to go to all their buddies and look like, ha, this proves I'm right. He blocked me.
I don't really care. I don't care if like
Jane can't handle the criticism.
If Jimmy the plumber, who owns like 1 million shares of Northwest Bio stock, thinks he's right.
Imagine how much money he would have if
it just went back to $4 where it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, guys. It's really not going to happen. Just look at, I mean, I think they're almost up to, they're probably going to be up to like 1 billion shares outstanding like pretty soon.
Wow.
1 billion shares outstanding. But it doesn't work that way. It's not how you get rich with companies that go to 1 billion. I was actually just on a completely different note. I was shocked that, so GE is trading at like, or when I looked at it a few days ago, $8. Mm-hmm. But it's still something like a $80 billion market cap company with like $160 billion in enterprise value. I'm like, geez, at what point do you even call this thing cheap? I mean, I know their debt thing is a whole mess, and I mean, this used to be like a huge brand.
Yep, that's what happens, man. Every brand, I feel like there's just the trend of universal brand dilution. The financial crisis hits, everyone's just trying to there's like no top line growth anywhere. So everyone just tries to like make their margins by diluting their brand, selling cheaper crap everywhere, and that's it. You know what I mean? There's no, I don't know. There's no top line growth in the economy.
Well, there is in the tech sector. I mean, you always have like, Uber. Oh yeah, sure, they lost $1 billion last quarter, but they had top line growth.
Yeah.
And then of course, I mean, you have people who are profitable like Facebook and all that stuff, but. Oh yeah, there were some interesting stories about the some of the tech giants recently, like Amazon. They're gonna have their headquarters down the street from you, I think.
Yes, they're gonna be down the street.
Yeah, they got
Long Island City,
billions of dollars in subsidies to open this headquarters.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that, man. I don't really like the idea of government giving out my tax dollars to corporations because they're gonna bring in some jobs.
Well, no. They are going to bring in some jobs, but more importantly, they're going to bring in a steady stream of fundraising to those politicians.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
That's what they're thinking. And it's like, well, let's see. If I knock down space that's equivalent for 1,000 businesses and give it to one giant corporation. Instead of contacting those 1,000 businesses and asking them for funds, I just have to go to this one giant, and I know they're going to play ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you know how that's how it's working.
The thing that gets me is this doesn't really seem like this is always like, oh, we're going to bring some jobs to Queens or whatever. But that's not what's actually going to happen. What they're going to do is they're going to bring in people to Queens, right, that are going to have these jobs. Like, people in Queens are not going to suddenly be like, oh, I'm totally employable at Amazon, I'm going to go work there. It's going to be more people moving from other places to Queens. So it's not like improving the neighborhood, it's replacing it in a respect.
Well, yeah.
So I'm not crazy about it.
Well, and also instead of just having our normal, large numbers of finance douches, we're going to have some more tech douches because we really need more tech douches.
Yeah, like New York has been pushing to diversify its douche portfolio for a while, and they want to become a tech douche hub.
Yes.
There's a new technical douche campus on Roosevelt Island.
What? Really?
Yeah, there's a new. It's like Cornell and the Technion, I think.
Oh, really?
Collaboration for a tech campus. Yeah, it's a pretty building.
Huh. Yeah. We're really pushing hard for. I mean, I guess New York tried with the whole Silicon Alley thing, but now it's just like, let's just go for Big Brother doucheland. Get them to like put a headquarters here, and we'll just get automatically like 5,000 tech douches. More
than that. They never said something like, I think it was 50,000 jobs between the two campuses.
But it's funny. It's like this is the one issue that the Wall Street Journal editorial board and that whatever her name is from that congresswoman who's like 28 and was a bartender. Like,
oh yeah.
Like this is the only issue they actually agree on. Like this is a horrible deal. The only people who like it, of course, are the corporatist, corrupt politicians in
Cuomo.
Really both parties, but but in this case it is a democratic state, so it's a democratic corporatist.
Yeah.
I remember a friend of mine who had a business up in Buffalo. He had like a factory up there. He had some issue that he had to deal with, and he was sitting next to Chuck Schumer on a flight. Mm-hmm. And so he actually got a chance to talk to him and lobbied him from the airplane seat. And he got the thing fixed. And then like a little while later, he got a call from the Chuck Schumer office. Hey, do you mind hosting a fundraiser at your house and bringing your friends? So suddenly this guy who is basically a arch-conservative / libertarian businessman was doing all these fundraisers for Schumer. And then he was also doing fundraisers for Hillary Clinton when she was a senator. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and they know him on a first name basis. I'm like, okay, it doesn't even matter what your ideology is. It's like, if you want to do business, you got to do business with whichever corrupt politicians in power.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what we need to fix.
Yes. And speaking of Schumer, there was also a New York Times article about Facebook. And Facebook was doing some shady stuff with like lobbying groups and all that.
Yeah.
And apparently
they were like chasing down their critics.
Oh, yeah, totally. And Chuck Schumer, his daughter, works for Facebook. And so he apparently tried to get Mark Warner, another senator who was critical of Facebook, to shut up. Mm-hmm. And that his criticism wasn't helpful of Facebook. Mm-hmm. So you got some money, you got some familial connections, and it's just
it is such crap. That we can all agree on, regardless of your politics. We can all agree that the government's a freaking disaster.
Yes. I mean, that's why we, in the last podcast when I interviewed Jonathan Tepper on the myth of capitalism, I mean, he's more
really excellent interview, by the way.
Thank you. He is I'm pretty sure he's kind of on the, conservative side of things, but like, if you read his book, you could be probably from the left, from the right. You can agree with it because it's just pointing out like, hey, things are really messed up. It's not really helping any of us from an ideological perspective. It's just enriching, the corrupt, the people who already have money, all that stuff. It's just, I don't know. It's an untenable situation.
Well, look what before the midterms, before the 2 years that the Republicans had in power, what they managed to get accomplished. They get some wide sweeping conservative legislation passed. No, they changed the corporate tax rate. The real winning issue for Americans is corporate tax rate.
No, but that was actually a conservative issue for quite a while. Like, because we had the highest statutory corporate tax rate in like the world. And so that was an issue. The part about cutting personal taxes was not so much of an issue.
I'm also for cutting the corporate tax rate too, because even though I am a bleeding heart liberal, I understand how economics work, and I realize that it's effectively a regressive tax, and I don't like regressive taxes.
Why is it a regressive tax?
Because it taxes basically everyone. Like if you put a tax on a corporation, they're just going to raise their prices by that much, and then everyone pays it. So you end up paying a corporate tax rate yourself, regardless, anyway, because you're always paying. Whenever you pay money to anyone, it's going through a corporation, and they're paying that tax. So if you believe in economics, the price would just be lower if they didn't have it, and therefore you wouldn't pay it.
I don't know if it actually works that way. It depends on the industry. Like if it's a really competitive industry, like you're not really deciding the price. It's basically competition and you trying to optimize things.
Yes.
I mean,
but
if you're in a monopoly,
you have that latitude. You can go lower on your price if you want to compete them out.
So anyway, it's all,
And I'm always a fan of there's no morality to taxation. It's just tax things that you don't like and don't tax things that you like.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I thought. What do you mean?
And
we
like business. We want to encourage business. Everyone wants to encourage business. So don't tax us so much. That's what I say.
Well, no, I don't. I think that.
See, you have a moralistic approach to taxation. I bet you might even bring up double taxation, won't you?
No, I wasn't going to bring it up. But, I do believe you shouldn't be double taxed. But
no, it doesn't matter. Who cares? It's just taxes.
No,
it's just a number.
And then
it's
also,
a calculation. It doesn't care if there's no law against it. It's not like double jeopardy.
But I am a bit against the social engineering related to certain taxation, like sin taxes and all this other stuff. Like, let's get people to stop smoking. Let's tax the crap out of it. It's like, come on, guys. Like, this is like punitive taxation.
There's also good and bad application of this principle. You know what I mean? It doesn't speak to it being done well or being done poorly. It's just you tax things that you want to discourage, and I don't know, tax murder, and don't tax things that are even subsidized things that you do like.
Yeah, that's how you end up with like a crappy system. Subsidized. Jeez, subsidies.
Yeah, like Amazon. Amazon needs somebody needs to cut them a break. Somebody really needs to cut Amazon a break. They've had a tough time. They barely make any money. For $1 trillion company, they really don't make a lot of money. Not enough, anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean that goes without saying for like most of these companies. Like for $1 trillion company or $100 billion company, they don't really make that much money.
Crazier than the Amazon thing was the Foxconn, getting the Foxconn factory. And where was it? Wisconsin?
Oh yeah, maybe Wisconsin,
Minnesota. I can't remember which state. Since they don't have a corporate tax source, they can't give them tax breaks. They're just giving them a check.
Well, I mean,
and their subsidies. It's like $2 billion just in a check.
But I mean, I'm not for corporate welfare at all. But I think there probably is some sort of economic argument related to multipliers there. Like, okay, if they have X many jobs and they're going to pay those people who have those jobs, they wouldn't otherwise have, pay X amount of taxes. That's gonna go through the economy, and like they're gonna help other businesses and blah 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 blah. So I don't know if the math works. I haven't seen a study on this, but that's probably the argument.
Probably.
But
we need more jobs.
Well, we do need more jobs, and we need more manufacturing jobs. I mean, if you look at the manufacturing jobs charts, they're depressing.
They are depressing.
It's like they collapse every recession, and then they never go up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, that's pretty sad. So I mean, it's all going to be like finance people, tech people, and bartenders and food service people.
Yeah, we're in a big freaking douche canoe. All right,
yes.
Max. Focus on biotech. Give me a biotech story.
Well, no, we can.
People listen to us because of the biotech commentary.
No, we can.
Witty biotech
What do you mean,
banter.
the douche canoe? I think the douche canoe is going to be really popular.
Well, yes, we can brand the douche canoe.
Douche canoe. Douche canoe.
Douche canoe.
Douche canoe.
Wasn't that an actress? Wasn't she?
No, I know. I was thinking about the same thing. No, it's Dushku. Her name was Dushku.
Eliza Dushku?
Yeah, Dushku.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, so going back to biotech, we can talk about another thing about companies who don't deserve valuations. Moderna. They filed their S1.
So yeah, Moderna's coming.
And so they have a total of looks like 10 names on their red. 10 banks pushing their stock to try to get them to raise the money that they want.
Okay, so I was talking with somebody about this the other day, and the question was, why are there so many banks? Is everyone just, okay, is this a good thing? Is it because everyone wants a piece of this? Or is it because wouldn't somebody, the economics must be a lot worse for all these guys to have that many people on?
Probably. I mean, I view it as you need this many banks in order to cast a wide enough net to get enough people to say yes. Because, I mean, you would think that Morgan Stanley or Goldman or JP Morgan by themselves, who they're on this, would be able to just do it. I mean, they've done much bigger deals.
Yeah, you would think. And that's the thing. I feel like it's an indication that none of these banks have enough people that are actually interested in this deal to pump it up to, like, what was it, 500 million, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, they're raising 500 million. They're going to be worth like 10 billion or something. And I don't know, dude. I haven't seen a red this busy since AT&T Wireless, and that was like a real company. It was like spinning out of AT&T. They were doing like a special IPO, and they had like a lot of names on it. And like, okay, whatever. It's like a really big deal. This is like some biotech.
Yeah, I mean, how many dollars per phase one is that?
Yeah, they're just, I don't know. Maybe they'll never go public. I mean, if the markets stay the way they've been. Maybe they'll have to cancel it. I mean, like Alzheimer already tried twice, and
no, this is their last chance, man.
Which one? Alzheimer?
No. Moderna. This is their last chance. I mean, they missed the peak maybe a little bit of the markets, but it's still pretty rich out there. They still can get this sort of valuation on it. So
I don't know.
You don't think it's
from
gonna
public
go through?
Investors? I mean, why would anyone want to put money into this thing right now? Like, people probably want to decrease their biotech exposure. I mean,
people have been talking about Moderna for freaking years. That's the reason why.
Yeah, but not in a good way.
Maybe not in your circles. I've always been confused by it, but people have liked them for a long time.
I mean, but biotech's down what, like 30% from the peak?
They missed the peak a little bit. It's only 30% down.
No, but it's down 30% in like 2 months, which is like, that's pretty severe. There were rumors yesterday of like a fund blowing up or something like that. Maybe why things were so crappy. It's not a good time to go public right now.
Well, it was definitely better a little while ago.
Yeah,
but it could always get worse.
Oh yeah, well that's the lesson of if you're a Russian Jew, it can always get worse. You go from like the czars to the commies to the Nazis, back to the commies. So anyway, and some mentioned Alzheimer. There was a Nature paper on, I think it was about sharing clinical trial data, but they had some statistics on Alzheimer's and drug attrition within Alzheimer's. So, and it's just amazing. So 99.6% of 413 trials failed to produce a drug.
Well, it's just the one.
Yeah. It was like, one after a decade.
That comes out to just one drug got approved.
No, it's amazing. Like in phase 1, 72% are dropped after phase 1. 92% are dropped after phase 2. And 98% are dropped after phase 3.
That's great.
I mean, and yet these Alzheimer's companies keep coming around trying like, hey, let's try ketones now. It's like, dude, just post this graph at your door, and maybe some of them will just like turn around and leave.
Yeah, the ketones one is a little bit different. At least it's not amyloids, man.
Dude, they put I think they mixed like palm oil and coconut oil together and gave it to people.
I'll take anything over amyloids. This reminds me of a funny story. I was talking with this professor at Cornell. I didn't work for him or anything else like that. I was just talking with him, and real old guy. This guy's like 85, 90, something like that. Over the hill, say the least. And he starts talking to me about Alzheimer's and his theories. And finally he says, you know what this means? Do you know what this means? You know what if this receptor is involved in Alzheimer's? You know what that means? He said, cocaine. Cocaine prevents Alzheimer's. And I'm like, okay, that's a new one for me. Cocaine prevents Alzheimer's. But you heard it here first. Well, you heard it from me first. Cocaine prevents Alzheimer's.
So we can use this in our company that we'll start. So we'll have like amphetamines for Alzheimer's, cocaine for Alzheimer's.
Yeah. And he was just looking at me, and I looked at him, and I was like, "Oh, you totally do coke. You totally do coke,
and way too much if you think this."
And he was a very sharp old man, so maybe.
Remember the CEO of AIG had like a whole vial of coke in his desk. I mean, he was sharp. He was known for being really smart.
Yeah, how old was he? That's the question.
Pretty old.
Pretty old. There you go. Right. That's the secret. It's the secret to success.
Merck pharmaceutical grade cocaine.
Yeah, cocaine.
Okay. Well, we were actually joking about this, something similar for NASH, for, amphetamines, because, we were looking at the, a lot of people were freaking out about Madrigal. I believe that's the name. So MDGL. They had some NASH data, but they're down from like 300 something per share to like 150 now. I mean, part of it is the market and all that stuff. But their data was like it's decent, but they don't they didn't really have an effect on fibrosis. And then
no, they said some claims about the tricky part with fibrosis. They had some tough stuff in there where they're measuring fibrosis using second harmonic generation from some spectroscopic technique. I mean, come on, guys. Like, I don't need a degree in physics to I do need a degree in physics to understand your clinical data. Like, I am perhaps the only person that has seen that actually knows what the hell they're frickin' talking about. And I don't have to do it in physics, but it's just the tricky thing with fibrosis is there's not any great, like, get a number of fibrosis. So the crap they come up with is just kind of bonkers. But you know what? It's like porn. You know it when you see it, right? I maybe can't define it, using second harmonics of a fluoroscopic technique, but I know it when I see it. We all know it when we see it. So I'm not completely convinced by their stuff. And basically, none of these NASH things are going to make a bit of difference or get any sort of coverage from the insurance companies unless they can impact fibrosis, unless you can see reduction in fibrosis. And literally no drug has ever done that. Right, so no drug has ever reduced fibrosis, or else it would be used everywhere for all sorts of crap. So we'll see.
Also, I mean, I always question. I mean, NASH, this ginormous indication where the vast majority of people have no symptoms whatsoever,
except for like feasibly maybe the ones that have fibrosis. That's the thing. You know what I mean?
So maybe that should be another indication, and just don't call it NASH, which is
there's
like
fatty liver. Yeah, they're trying that with the fatty liver thing. Because it just means your liver's fat.
Yeah, and didn't you say something about like, well, why don't we just give people like a bile acid and then give them like alley
that's literally what these guys are doing. It's just a bile acid, which little basic science. Bile acids are basically your body's soap. So they dissolve lipids, and so you dump a whole bunch of bile acid into your body, and yes, the lipids from different places will just start dissolving and going into your bloodstream. So that's why with Sema-Bay and what's it called, Intercept, they see a big jump in triglycerides when after treatment.
Yeah,
and that's also why they itch all over, is because that stuff is kind of rough on your body.
Yeah, no, the itching. I mean, that's that condition where like it's not because of a skin irritation. It's because of like bile. That's a bad itch. That's an itch you can't scratch.
Yeah, that means your organs are itching. Your lungs itch. Like, that's a great feeling.
Yeah, so they should combine it with alley, so they'll poop all the fat out.
This is actually not a horrible idea. You could have, of course, alley is a horrible, horrible drug that
for obesity. Yeah,
makes you poop your pants, or it makes you have greasy farts.
Yes, greasy farts.
Yes,
the worst kind of farts probably in the world.
I might be wrong on this, but if I remember correctly, it's been a while since Ally was a thing. I believe in their pamphlet that came with it, they were like, yeah, it's probably a good idea to bring an extra pair of pants with you wherever you go for the first few weeks, just in case.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, even if you don't shit your pants, there's going to be a big greasy spot.
Yeah. Like you just have leakage.
Yeah.
That's really now. And the funny thing is, it didn't really make you lose that much weight. So you go through all this trouble and you lose a few pounds.
Yes.
Because I guess they were just targeting the completely wrong thing. I mean, it's not the fat in your diet that's making you fat. It's the other shit.
It's the carbs.
Yeah. So I have a full fat diet. I love it.
This is a neat idea, though, to get, like, let's get the fat in your body solubilized with some bile acids, and then somehow get your body to dump that into your gut. Is an interesting new approach. Of course, ally just blocks it from being absorbed. That's why it doesn't actually, it just blocks your consumption and reduces your caloric intake. That's how it achieves weight loss. So you can just have as many potato chips as you want.
Well. And
you don't get the fat from them. But I like the idea that you came up with of finding a way to get your body to dump it all. Or we could just stick a medical device in you that just sucks it all out.
Oh, I'm sure someone's come up with that one.
It's called liposuction, Max. It's called liposuction.
Oh, well, no, but that's the fat that's already deposited, not like the fat that you've ingested. So how would it really help with the NASH fat?
No, you just, that's true. You can't really suck all the fat out of your liver. It's a little tricky.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
There's got to be a company out there that has that.
Yeah, let's figure it out.
Yeah. Maybe we can also start a soap company. Anyway, the Healthcare Cost Institute had some data on the trends in primary care visits, and they were showing that there's a big decrease in people going to see primary care doctors when they go, and instead they're seeing like physician assistants and nurse practitioners. But it's not saving us any money.
Of course not, because they still charge as much.
Yeah, exactly. They're charging as much, so it's like you're just going to you're getting lower quality care, but you're paying the same amount of money. This doesn't sound like an improvement. It's like, so, I mean, and that's kind of been one of the arguments, one of the ways to theoretically save money for the system, but you're not saving any money for the system. You're just making more money for, I guess, the doctor's practices, because they're getting the same amount of money. They just have to pay the people less.
Yes, and I will reiterate my unpopular opinion, which is that we can't talk about the cost of medical care without actually talking about how much freaking money doctors make.
Yeah, but it's going down. I mean, they're all complaining.
Of course they're complaining. Because they're the ones that are really going to lose here. The drug companies will be like, okay, we'll lose some money, okay. But the doctors could potentially lose a lot of money if there's actually some sort of cost control or anything else like that, because they can get paid tons, just tons and tons and tons.
Well, you look at any nationalized healthcare system, the doctors are the ones who are the ones who've been screwed. I mean, they're making money like they're public employees or something in a lot of these countries, unless they're like at the top of their profession or something.
Yes, and I believe there's a balance. As with all things, I mean, I don't think it's all black and white. I don't think we all have to say either we have to pay doctors $500,000 a year or literally nothing.
Well, I mean, if you look at it from the market perspective, though, I mean, it's a lot of work to become a doctor. I mean, there's a lot of schooling, and then you go to residency, and even in like our current system where doctors get paid a lot, they're usually not making much money until they're in their 30s. Then they still have like malpractice insurance and all this other stuff. They're paying and constant like licensing and blah blah blah. Who would become a doctor if you don't pay them? I mean, we'll just have doctor shortages. That's why like Canada and stuff and all these other places have like months and months of wait.
And literally everyone gets paid less than doctors. You can literally say that about any, like, if we didn't have X, Y, or Z, why would anyone become an attorney? Or why would anyone become a bagger at the grocery store? No, it doesn't make sense. That's not how it works.
What do you mean? Well, if you like cut the wages of someone who's bagging at the grocery store by like say 50%, you are going to have fewer baggers. I mean, who's going to take that job? You're just going to get like, the people who you don't want touching your food in the supermarket. You're going to get lower quality people. All the higher quality, it just means more people are going to go into tech and finance. So we'll have more tech and finance douches. This is what it will mean.
This is the goal. I don't think
the douche canoe will get bigger.
I think probably if doctors got paid less, we would have fewer douches in the medical profession, and therefore quality of care might actually improve.
I don't think so. I don't think that's how it works.
That's the main motivating factor for most people that go into medicine, is making a lot of money.
Well, yeah, but then you get like the smarter people wanting to go make a lot of money. Because the talented people are like, okay, where can I kind of get the most profit? And in the case of medicine, also help people. Okay. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to make money, so I'll go and become a lawyer douche or a banker douche, or, I'll become chief knowledge officer at literally some tech company.
I feel like we had this conversation on the podcast before, and I think the thing I said last time is like literally doctors make more money than all of those guys. So
I don't know about
They're
that.
still attracted. They're not like, oh, if they wanted more money, they would just become a banker. No, they make more money than bankers by a wide margin.
No, it depends on this depends on the specialty. Like orthopedic surgeons, yeah. But like if you're talking about like
on average,
a PCP, no.
On average, they make substantially more money.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, they're the highest paid profession by like a factor of 2.
Not like emergency room doctors, and not like there's a lot of the kind of the more general ones, and especially if you're not doing any procedures, you're kind of getting screwed by the.
I'm just saying the average. The average is they get paid a lot more than anyone else on average.
Well, they're
including all the ones that are out there just doing it to save the world.
They're also going to a lot more schooling than a banker or a lawyer.
It's true. I went to more schooling than a doctor, though. I am a doctor.
And you taught doctors, and you didn't like them.
I think it's really like if you want to lose all faith in the medical practice, just teach like pre-med classes for a few years. Oh my God. Sorry. Anyway, moving on.
So let's see. We're gonna get So we've already gotten a lot of hate mail from various cults around biotech. So now we're gonna get it from just doctors.
Yes, sure. I am what do you call it? An edgelord. I am your biotech edgelord.
What's an edgelord?
Oh, it's like somebody just pisses people off to get views.
Okay.
I'm a biotech edgelord.
Very nice. And just finally, just want to talk about New England Journal of Medicine had an opinion piece by some people who came out against pharma companies having to disclose prices in their ads because they're worried that people might get scared off from getting therapy. And I'm just like, okay, but isn't that the whole point? So people know what the cost is to society, but they're like, oh no, people need to understand that it's other people's money, it's not theirs. I mean, that's basically.
I actually think
the
you
argument.
misread that. Actually, I remember saw your tweet on that, and I think you misread it.
No, that was
because like literally the next line they're like, because there's other things available like metformin, which is only costs $4. And they might think, oh, getting my diabetes treated is going to be too expensive. When in reality, like that drug might be too expensive, but there's other drugs like metformin that is not being advertised for a much lower price. So that's what they're saying. An unintended like people might be dissuaded from getting any treatment, even when there's ones that are.
No, I understand that, but still, it's like, well, the whole point is like for people to understand what is the cost of this thing, not just to yourself with a copay, but like to society, because we have third-party payer system, and so people have no idea how much anything costs in our healthcare system. And so this is
true, but they've done studies before that show that people don't freaking care. Like they've done studies on like. Just telling people how much like their procedure, whatever, anything else is going to cost, and they just go and get it anyway because they're not paying for it.
Well, then why is pharma so much against it? Why is this op-ed in here all like?
Well, because
out?
The optics are really bad. It just makes the optics even worse for the industry with like the worst optics ever.
I would think like well,
it's like a shame thing, like shame, ding, ding,
yeah,
shame.
It's fine.
Like you cost too much money.
It's like, hey, this is a $20,000 a month product.
But business has no shame and will just still charge it.
Yeah, and look, maybe it won't work. I mean, those studies I think have been on very limited. I'm not sure how big the N was or what the actual trial was, but I would say let people know. Then they can make a more informed decision. This is just like a disclosure in a SEC filing.
Okay, so it's
I think people know.
I think we're all on the same page. I don't think we're actually arguing here. I think I'm like, sure, tell them how much this stuff costs. I like literally have to look all this crap up, and it'll make my life a lot easier.
Yes. No, it's just I don't know. I was kind of pissed off by. I mean, these people who got published in the New England Journal of Medicine were basically making the "won't somebody please think about the children" kind of argument, just with sick patients and children, and instead of like. Okay, guys, come on. I think you're missing the whole what the benefit of the whole thing is. And if like they suggested, let people easily find out what it would cost them personally in their plan. So basically, this is a version of the pharma argument that we should just have a link so people can find out how much it will cost them rather than actually disclosing it up front.
Yeah, I'm always going to click that link.
I mean, yeah, come on. So anyway, it's just, guys. Is it really so hard?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's sort of like, who cares? Like, instead of all this BS, we're just gonna try and shame these guys. It's not gonna work.
I believe in shaming. Shaming is good.
Yeah, you're a Jew. This is sort of how we
Yeah,
operate.
this is how we work. We work through shame. Hey, how come you can't be like your brother?
Right, until there's some actual reform in the system, I don't think anything's going to change. That's what gets me.
And what kind of reform are you talking about?
Any sort of reform.
We've had reforms.
Any sort of better reform. Pricing and stuff like that. You can either open it up and have it be more free market, or you can lock it down, have it be less free market, and just set the prices. Both of these are better than the current situation of just being able to charge whatever the hell you want and just being stuck with the bill.
Oh, the problem with the just like deciding what the prices are, just think of the lobbying. Think about the lobbying that will happen. And it's like you're just going to make the system even more corrupt.
Yeah, I think I puked in my mouth a little bit just then.
Good. Anyway, so that's really all I got.
All right. That's all I got, too. I'm going to go home and try and get out of this snowstorm before we get snowed in.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting snowed in. You're going in the right direction. Like, east of here is fine. It's in the north and west.
Of course, you're not facing the windows right now, Max.
Oh, shoot. Look at all that snow. It's like, come on, man. Give me a break.
All right. Well, that's it. I'll see you guys next week.
Yep. Bye.
Our theme music is by Hazar.